Welcome back to the final hour of our program. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Dr. George Lakoff is on the line with us. He is the Berkeley University of California, the Goldman Distinguished Professor of Cognitive Sciences and Linguistics at the University of California at Berkeley, and the author of Don't Think of an Elephant, and more recently now out in paperback, The Political Mind. Dr. George Lakoff, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure, Tom.
It's always great talking with you, Dr. Lakoff. Recently you have written about the Obama Code. What is the Obama Code?
The Obama Code is a set of principles by which Obama works. They're not overtly stated. They're implicit in everything he does. And there are a small number of them, about 7. And if you understand them, you can overtly understand what he's saying, but you will understand them implicitly because he uses it all the time. Let me give you some examples. He starts with a view of morality. And that view of morality says that empathy is what progressive values are about. It's you care about people, period. That responsibility is not just responsibility for yourself, but responsibility for others based on that empathy, and that you have an ethic of excellence. You try to make the world better by making yourself better and your family and community better. Those are his basic principles. And then he argues, and has argued overtly, and then assumes that these principles lie behind our democracy. The argument's very simple. It says, why do we have principles like freedom and fairness for everybody, not just for the wealthy and the powerful? And the reason is simple. Empathy. We care about our countrymen, and we have to act on that care if we're responsible. So the argument is simple. That's what democracy is about, and that's what our country is about. The third principle has to do with the way government works. If you have those moral principles in a democracy, then government has 2 major functions, protection and empowerment for everybody equally. Protection is not just police and military protection, it's environmental protection and worker protection and pension protection and health care. And empowerment is basically what's in that stimulus package. It's infrastructure, roads and bridges and public buildings, an educational system, a communication system that works, an energy system that works, a banking system that allows you to get credit and that works, a stock market that works, a judicial system that works. Those are the basics of empowerment. And then the idea is to make them equally available to everybody. And there's a general point behind it, that nobody makes a dime in this country. Nobody who's wealthy makes a dime without protection and empowerment by the government. And that's what taxation is about. That's why you pay taxes to live here instead of in a third world country where you don't have it. Those are some of the basic principles. There are others. For example, he understands that there are a lot of people in this country who are conservative on some issues and progressive on others. And so when he talks about bipartisanship, he doesn't mean moving to the right and adopting right-wing principles. What he means is looking for people who call themselves conservatives but are actually progressive in many ways. And he tries to find out where they're progressive and then work with them on the places where they already agree with him. What's interesting is he talked about this overtly in one of his press conferences, and none of the people there reported on it. But it's a basic principle that he uses all the time. Another is that the economy is not just about the banking system and economics. It's about all the things that we do to live. It's about our educational system, our healthcare system, our energy system, the environment. They're all part of the economy.
George, I think we all agree on this and on this sense, but it also seems to me that you're presenting a rather idealized view of President Obama rather than a realistic one. I mean, today he echoed the Bush administration policy that they're not going to tell us who the visitors to the White House were. This is after he criticized George Bush on 3 separate occasions over the last 3 years for exactly that.
Yeah.
He has chosen corporatist advisors like Larry Summers and Tim Geithner, hardcore right-wingers economically speaking. He has put forward virtually no support at all for the Employee Free Choice Act. He is openly supporting corporate free trade. He's escalated the war in Afghanistan and possibly Pakistan. He has easily, from day one, been able to stop enforcement of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and has chosen not to. He didn't fight for the cram-downs and changes in the bankruptcy bills a couple of weeks ago. In fact, didn't say a word about it, and this would have kept millions of people in their homes. He's pushing clean coal and nuclear fuel. He's flip-flopped on military tribunals. I mean, I could go on and on. It seems to me, and that's not to indict Barack Obama. He's a hell of a lot better president than George W. Bush was. But in some ways, it seems that he may be a better president than Bill Clinton was. But it also seems to me that he is our national Rorschach test, that everybody sees in him what they want to see. The right-wingers see in him what they most fear. Those of us on the left see in him what we most hope. And the reality is that, he's a politician.
That's right. I was getting there.
Okay.
Look, one of his basic principles is to get as much as he can and to be realistic about it. And this is something that, is often disturbing. I mean, when I first read The Audacity of Hope, there was a point where I virtually threw it against the wall. It was in his discussion of gay marriage, where he, basically said there's every reason to have gay marriage, but I'm not sure about it. I might be wrong, but I'm not ready to come out for it. Right. By which he's saying, basically, I'm for it, but I can't say it.
Right, he was acknowledging a political reality.
And he's acknowledging a political reality. And I think that...
Or at least what was a political reality at the time he wrote that book, 8 years ago?
Yeah, and it came out in 2006, so 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He finished writing it in the fall of 2006.
Okay.
So he...
well, I'd say in that case, that's a political reality that has changed really fast in the last 5 years.
It's quite wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I'm again another Wisney ahead of the curve on this. And like Don't Ask, Don't Tell isn't even gay marriage. It's just being allowed to be who you are in the military.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the issues here are. Let me try to give you a sense of Obama on these things. Michael Pollan talked to Obama about food issues and about all the problems with the food bill and agriculture and so on. And Obama's response was very simple. It was, show me the movement. Show me the political movement that is out there so that I can get behind it. And that's the important thing. That is, it's really up to us. If we don't have a political movement that gives him cover, and that's all politicians need, cover. Politicians need to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do anything else. My constituents require this. Mm-hmm. And all the things you've listed are the cases where we're not giving him cover.
Right.
We're not doing our job.
But I, how much...
You're doing yours, and I'm doing mine. But the collective group of it...
But here's the problem, George, and that is that, 30 years of Reaganomics have basically raped economically the middle class. You've got people who are working 2 and 3 jobs. You got half of all kids in America coming home to an empty house. You've got people who literally do not have the time to watch the news, much less get out and get politically active. And you've got a healthcare system that is so tied to the employers that people are terrified that if they take a time off from work to protest or engage in any kind of political activity, God forbid they should organize a union, that they will be fired, and if they're fired, they or their family members might die.
Yes. You got it.
So in the minute we have left, your response, what do we do?
Look, there is a major problem in progressives. One, we do not have a communication system to get these ideas out there day after day after day, with spokespeople around the country and with the booking agency booking this stuff on the radio and TV all over the country. You ought to be, more widely heard, and so should many other people. This is a lack that the Democrats have. The wealthy Democrats who give the money don't give the money for the right stuff.
Yeah, there is. I'll grant you there is no infrastructure. I mean, this show and a number of other progressive shows are doing quite well and have millions of listeners, but we don't have the 600 stations that Rush Limbaugh has.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me, being on the receiving end of the right-wing booking machine, how aggressive and how powerful and how well-funded they are. They're even paying people to go out and blog on left-wing blogs, and to call into talk shows. Dr. George Lakoff, his new book, The Political Mind. Check it out. Thank you, George.
My pleasure, Tom.